Rewind Sports
Rewind
60.
Sports 60. From the city of big shoulders, the jewel of the Midwest, comes a sports show that's one of a kind. From iconic players to iconic stadiums to iconic teams, this is my kind of town. Chicago! And the Rewind Sports 60 is my kind of show. From Air Jordan to sweetness to Papa Bear Hallis, this city works hard, but plays even harder. Danny Carlino and Jerry Riles bring you the Rewind Sports 60. Live. The Rewind Sports 60 starts now.
Welcome, everybody, to the Rewind Sports 60 WCPT 8:20 a.m. We are live in our WCPT studios, and we're also streaming live on Facebook.com. So please follow us and join in on the conversation. The fastest sports hour in America, in the country, in the world, pretty much, all over. And we finally have sports, guys. Woo!
Kind of.
A variation of it for sure, but we still have sports, so lots to talk about, of course, in the world of sports. I want to get right to it. Join in on the conversation. Give us a call at 773-763-9278. And I want to get right to my esteemed panel. First of all, the marvelous one, Dan Marver. Dan, I'm waiting to see what your reaction is, because you've been waiting and praying and waiting and all of that for baseball.
I was outside Wrigley Field and Guaranteed Rate Field, and they wouldn't let me in. I figured that they'd let me in, but, I don't have credentials, so I had to watch it at home.
We got to get you some credentials.
Yeah, I don't have credentials. I had to watch it at home. But it's fun to see baseball. I mean, and they're piping in some crowd noise and people.
Did you see the people who had their cutout pictures? I didn't get the memo on that. I would have.
Yeah, I mean the socks are. You could have bought a little thing for the socks.
Yeah,
I heard you could.
Was it like $100?
Yeah, you could have done that. And then of course we'll talk about. There were some fans across the street on the rooftops. We'll talk about that later at Wrigley. And the Cubs won 2 out of 3, and the Sox lost 2 out of 3. But it's going to be 16 teams that make the playoffs, so it's kind of like the regular season isn't going to matter that much. What does that tell you?
Alrighty, and my co-host, the amazing, wonderful, illustrious Jerry Riles. Jerry, how do you feel about actually getting to see some real sports being played? How do you feel? Are you overjoyed? You can't speak? You can't.
I'm speechless.
I know.
Lauren, I'm speechless.
We didn't think it would happen.
I have to pinch myself.
Yeah.
I was actually sitting on my grandmother, may she rest in peace. She used to call the sofa, the couch, the doofo. I was sitting on the doofo watching baseball.
Yeah,
yes.
In WNBA too.
I was sitting on my doofo watching baseball.
I couldn't believe it.
I wasn't watching the WNBA.
Okay, well, they
I'm sorry about that, but I wasn't watching the WNBA.
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare I sit there and even think about trying to watch the WNBA. No offense, but I commend the women in the WNBA for all that they've done in support of the movement by walking off the court.
Hey.
By walking off the court, Lauren.
Absolutely, yes. For MLB, everybody was so touched, moved, and inspired that they decided to kneel. When the WNBA, they've been doing this for years. They started it. They're the trailblazers. So I'm interested to see Craig Hodges' take
Portland is the
on that.
trailblazers.
Well, they're the social justice trailblazers.
Very good.
Yeah, how come the women can step up like that, but
God bless them. I mean, they stepped.
Nobody else can.
They stepped the hell up.
They've been stepping the
They
hell up.
stepped up and said, "We walking off the court, and we don't give a damn."
Yes.
Damn.
Absolutely.
Damn. I was like,
it.
whoa,
I
hey.
love it. They showed it.
Get out of the way.
Hey.
Holy Moses. Don't let Coach Mike Dicker hear you say that. I see that, though. We'll get an opportunity to talk about what the coach had to say, Lauren.
Please.
What'd you think?
I think that's ridiculous. He built his championship. He is who he is off of the brothers who played for him. So, I mean, for him to be that tone deaf about that situation,
But Lauren, he said
wrong.
he'll sit down and tell you, and hopefully we reached out to Coach Mike Dicker. If you haven't had an opportunity to check it out on TMZ, I believe either yesterday, I guess it was yesterday, or maybe late in the week, Coach Dicker was on TMZ and was asked a question because he is the chairman of the X League, the
XFL.
evolving of the lingerie league, and now it's called the X League, and he's the chairman of the league. And the question was posed to Coach Mike Ditka, the Super Bowl winning head coach for your Chicago Bears, because he's the chairman. If the players elected to kneel during the national anthem, would he have a problem with it? And we have the sound for it. We'll get an opportunity to play. Well, actually, Devin, we do have the sound, correct? Coach Mike Ditka said, "Hey, if he had it his way, they'll be standing. They'll be standing."
Yeah, he said it's disrespecting the flag. How many times?
Devin King, our producer, play the cut for us real quick.
These baseball players now, different teams. Last night watching baseball, you got the Reds kneeling, the A's, the Giants. A lot of teams are kneeling. Athletes are kneeling. In your league here, you're the chairman of this thing. Is that going to be allowed if the women want to take a knee during the anthem? What's the policy on that for you guys?
Well, if it was up to me, I'd say no. If you can't respect our national anthem, get the hell out of the country. Then that's the way I feel. Of course, I'm old-fashioned, so I'm only going to say what I feel. I think there's a way that you protest, and there's a way you don't protest. You don't protest against the flag, and you don't protest against this country, who's given you the opportunity to make a living playing a sport that you never thought would happen. So I don't want to hear all the crap. You want to try it. You don't, it's okay.
You don't want to hear the crap, Lauren.
I don't want to hear that crap. He's talking about how tone deaf you played with and had players of color play for you. How can he be this tone deaf? I'm very disappointed. I mean, well, he's said other things before in the past.
Yeah, he said that.
It's disappointing. Point blank, period. It's disappointing to hear him say that and be so emphatic about it. Especially with the things that are happening in this time. Even if you believed it, you don't sit up there and say that. I'm disappointed in him. Won't be going to that restaurant anymore.
Well, it's a lot of people's not going to go to it. Unfortunately, Lauren, is because they closed on Chestnut there.
Yeah.
I think the only one is open in Oak Brook, I think it is.
Yeah.
Marvelous. Yeah. Your thoughts from the coach's comments about his perspective on kneeling during the national anthem.
Well, obviously, there are people that feel that way. And everybody's entitled to their opinion. I mean, First Amendment right. So, I mean, it's obviously that it's not agreeable to everybody. And we've had a lot of issues in the last few weeks since about Memorial Day, where there's controversy and differing opinions. And, if somebody wants to kneel, they should kneel. I mean, what the heck?
Well, the WNBA, as Lauren stated, they opened up their season and they walked off the court.
Absolutely. I mean, because of the incidents since Floyd's death, it's been an eye-opening experience if people would just open themselves up to allow themselves to see what's really going on in this country. It's not just so simple difference of opinion. This man lost his life. And it could be my son. It could be you, Jerry. Why? Simply because of the color of our skin. It's a very serious situation. And for people to just casually say, oh, it's about the flag, it really bothers African Americans because it speaks to how other people don't understand the urgency of the situation. It's not about a flag. It's not about a piece of cloth. It's about human life that's being lost because of these stigmas and these ideals around black people.
Right.
I mean, for him to just be insensitive and just throw that out and put it and make it about the flag, that's the frustrating part. It's not about a piece of cloth.
Right. Which is a symbol. Marvelous.
There's obviously human life being lost in Chicago. You guys stop killing each other, for God's sakes.
Well, I mean, nobody should be killing, and that's another. Here's the deal, Marvelous, you're right. But the problem is, yes, stop killing each other. It's a simple Psych 101. You've taken Psych, I've taken Psych, you've taken Psych. And you guys have heard the experiment, the example where you put, we'll put 25 rats in a box area, a maze area. And you put 25 blocks of cheese in each area where those rats are, correct? And then either every day or every week, you remove one block of cheese with the same amount of rats. And after 25 days, you have one block of cheese. What's happening to those rats who had their own cheese at one particular time? They're fighting and killing each other over that one block of cheese that at one point in time they had their own. So you take that philosophy and that logic and you apply it to human culture and human societies and you put it in particular areas. That's exactly what's taking place in the black and brown communities here in Chicago on the south and west sides. That's what the struggle, the movement is all about, systemic racism. You talk about stop killing each other. Well, if you replace jobs, put jobs in the community, put education there in the community, take the guns out of community, and take the drugs out of the community, the killing will stop. It doesn't happen frequently. The city in its own right, there's going to be crime everywhere, right? That's just human nature, how we live. Mm-hmm. But you can't tell me mm-hmm. that, and people have tried to tell me, white people have tried to tell me, but you can't tell me that these people in the Inglewood community, in the Austin community, the south and west sides of the city, the only thing they want to do is kill each other because that's what they want to do. But if you go to Wicker Park, you go to Lincoln Park, you go to Rogers Park, and they still have crime in those particular areas. But you don't see the level of crime and shootings and murders taking place in those particular areas. Why? Because the amount of drugs and the amount of guns aren't flooding those communities. They're not. And the jobs,
on purpose.
The jobs are there. The education is there. So if you replace the drugs and the guns with jobs and education, I will guarantee you, like Michael Jordan said, 99.9% sure that the crime, the murders, marvelous, they will go down.
Well, who's going to do that, though?
Yeah, you got the solution. Now let's implement it. How do we do that?
Well, I'm not the mayor of Chicago, and I'm not the governor of Illinois, and I'm surely not the president of the great United States of America that we live in.
Your boy from down the street.
No, I'm not getting in Kanye's West now. I'm not getting in his way. I'm talking
about Barack Obama. I'm not talking about Kanye West.
But if you want to give us a call, our number is 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT. It's Jerry Riles, Lauren Cox, and of course the marvelous one, Dan Marver. If you have any comments, we're certainly going to talk about Mike Ditka and his position on the national anthem. I want to hear from you if you have any thoughts on Duck Coach making his comments one way or the other. We're also going to get an opportunity. He's a friend of the program, no question about it. He is Craig Hodges, former Chicago Bull, NBA champion, three-point champ, joining us shortly to talk about the update as far as Black Lives Matter, the movement, and how things are going on the front, Marvelous.
On the front?
On the front.
On the front of what?
On the front of this movement.
Oh.
Marvin, how you been doing? You looking good? You got your mask and everything?
Yeah, I'm back at my regular work location, sanitizing every counter, every doorknob. It's
that's right.
It's out of control, but we have to do it.
But people don't think so. And, I'm in the hospital sometimes, and we were talking to the nurses this week, and they said, I said, how are things going? They said the cases are back up. Mm-hmm. There's a COVID-19 surge. Mm-hmm. These are direct from the healthcare practitioners that are on the front line, right. Conspiracy people who don't think this is true. And they said the numbers are back like they were in March. Mm-hmm. But it's young people, right. People in their 30s.
Right.
This is still serious, guys.
Right.
People still need to be just as vigilant as they were back in February and March. You can't let up because
right.
People are dying. The young people are getting it. Of course, younger people are able to recover. But this is something that you just don't want to deal with because even the healthcare practitioners are saying, we don't have the answers. We're just, experimenting as we go along, essentially. It's a lot we don't know about this. So
right.
People need to be smart.
Yeah.
Just stay home.
That's it.
Social distance, all of that. So.
Get your mask, your Rewind Sports 60 mask.
Yes.
Go the Rewind Sports 60.
Where's my Rewind Sports 60?
I think it's in the mail. It is coming.
Okay, all right.
It is coming.
Just making sure.
Yeah,
I
we
see
have to make
that's
sure.
Yours, but,
Yeah.
Okay.
You will have yours for sure.
But it would be great if everybody could stay home, but some people have to feed their family.
No, a lot of people.
Well, I'm talking about the people partying.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Partying.
Okay. Yeah.
Like your boy Lou Williams, and we'll talk about him.
Yeah, we'll get a chance to talk about Lou Williams as well. Let's go out to our TR60 line. Tommy calling from what part of Chicago, Tommy? How are you?
First of all, let me say hello to all three of you, and I'll be tuning into your show. But let's start with one. China posted and said that their outbreak, it took them 4 months to get restarted. So if you stop and you do the math in Chicago, March 16th, they closed everything down. And so basically nothing should have been opened back up until July. But, oh, wait a minute, pump the brakes. So they come out with this, let's give money and this, that, and the other. 47 million individuals lose their jobs, and people can't get unemployment. You had the perfect powder keg going into all of this that we see going on. I want to leave you with this. The bottom line of it is, the bigger question is, why is it so difficult for people to recognize and understand that if you destroy communities, if you take everything out of a community that every other community has, what do you think? It's not a block of cheese. It's absolute decades of the same old thing warmed over. And I want to leave you with this one. I love baseball and basketball, but to sit up and watch TV and look at a bunch of cardboard cutouts and stuff, I'm asking myself, hey, Tommy, either you drunk, high, or this is one hell of a nightmare. I love you three.
Wow.
Thanks, Tommy.
I feel the same way, Tommy. Jeez.
It is a nightmare, but it's a nightmare we have.
Yeah, it is a nightmare, and it's a nightmare. Like you said, it's not where we want to be, and we do want to wake up from it. But this is what we have to deal with. This is what we have to deal with. As far as the cardboard cutouts are concerned, I gotta say to you, first of all, you have to understand, sports, there are entertainment, okay? Whether you choose sports to watch, whether you choose the opera to go to, whether you choose a concert or, whatever the case may be, it's a form of entertainment that we gravitate toward to remove ourselves from the day-to-day struggles and problems that we experience. And it's an escape for, 3 hours, 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever the case may be. So I think that's the approach you have to take when you're watching sports or whatever type of entertainment that you engage in. The cardboard cutouts, I think I got to give kudos to the marketing people around the world of sports. And Brooks Boyer over at the Chicago White Sox. And Lauren, you talked about where your cutout was. I didn't know that they were only going to be selling 1,200 cutouts. Because seriously, I was looking to get the Rewind Sports 60 cutouts and put in the stands. One, because how vain we are. But two, more importantly, is to support, what's going on. And I think it's pretty interesting to see the cutouts, but you got to commend the marketing people for coming up with some ways to keep some attention while you're watching on television. But the important thing to note and to stay focused on is the fact that there's entertainment out there for us, and these guys are putting themselves in a position to help entertain us, to take our minds off of the day-to-day, challenges that we face, because you have to understand and keep in mind, although it's not plastered across the newspapers and on your daily, local news at night, but the rise in domestic abuse, suicides, alcoholism, drug use, the numbers, we talk about the COVID numbers going up. I can almost assure you that those numbers are increasing as well, have increased over the past 3-4 months, because people had no substitute to escape from.
Right. And in addition, kids aren't getting their inoculations. People that have cancer, it's undetected. There's a lot of stuff that's being delayed. But, the thing with as it is, I remember Jack Brickhouse used to always say that the baseball game would take you away from your troubles and that's what it's all about. Really.
It's America's favorite pastime. And I think if we all keep it in perspective, Lauren, we can understand and kind of get through this. And so, it's not the end all be all, and it's not the best solution, but it's a direction toward getting back to some sort of normalcy of what we used to be accustomed to.
That's what I was going to say. When you get to do the little things like going to get your hair done, and, you know, the little things that we used to could do with no problem. I think it gives you a sense of normalcy and that, okay, it's going to be okay. You know, things will get back, you know, maybe not to where they were before, but we will get through this. And so I think that was the sentiment behind, you know, well, for me as a fan, that's the sentiment behind being happy that it started back, and, you know, of course, professional reasons for myself. But, you know, it was an issue with the players because you do have to think, is this a distraction?
Right.
You know, for them to get back to sports, does it take away from what the true issue is that I talked about earlier? So I really think that the players are going to try to infuse and have as much focus be on these issues of the injustices that African Americans face every day.
Right.
Make that front and center. You have it on the Toronto Raptors bus. They have it on the court.
Right.
Players are going to protest, and we'll just wait and see exactly who is. But even Paul George and LeBron James during their press conferences, they talked about Breonna.
You were doing very well until you went to that guy.
Stop it.
You were doing very well.
Please. They talked about Breonna Taylor.
Yes.
And how the officers who murdered her, assassinated her, essentially, they're still not charged.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And that's why I commend the WNBA women for walking off the court, because there's no justice regarding Breonna Taylor.
No.
That's ridiculous. And now they've been trying to spin it and accuse the boyfriend of shooting at them, and they fired back to protect themselves. So it's totally ridiculous. But I again, as you all know, and everyone listening, and whoever knows me, I always have a bone to pick with your guy, LBJ.
Yeah. What's the problem? His
now
remember,
he didn't speak. The players said they were going to put a name on the back of their jerseys. They were going to put a slogan or a phrase to support the Black Lives Matter.
And Jimmy Butler says he doesn't want any name.
Which I respect that and appreciate that, because he said, "Hey, I could be that person, so I'm not going to put anything on my back." But for LeBron to say, "Hey, I'm not going to put it on there because I don't want to do it."
So don't try to add anything extra to it. He just said he didn't want to do it.
But then he comes out. But then he comes out and say, "Well, it's not a movement."
Well, this is
Black Lives Matter is not a movement.
This is what he said today, well, not today, but when he was interviewed, he said a lot of people talk about Black Lives Matter as a movement, as you were saying, Jerry. It's not a movement. When you're black, it's a lifestyle. When you wake up and you're black, that's what it is. In America, in society, ain't been no damn movement for us. I said, bravo, LeBron James. I mean.
But it is a movement.
He just told you it ain't no when you black and you waking up every day and you may lose your life because of the color of your skin. He's saying that it's more than just, again, what we were saying earlier, a piece of cloth, a movement. It's a lifestyle, something that they have to live with every day.
It's not they have to live with. We gotta live with it.
We have to live.
Believe it. Yes. I know that, and I get that. But now,
what problem did you have with his statements?
The problem is, it is a movement, because when you have not only just a city, not only just a region, not only just a country, you have the entire world backing a movement, because they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and enough is enough, and they're demanding change. Mm-hmm. That's a movement.
Right.
The actions, from what he described, is how we got to the movement. He was right on that. Mm-hmm. But the movement is to make a change and to move from one thinking process or physical action of process to a different one, a better one, a one of equality. So that's what movement is. Like, he moved his ass from Cleveland to Miami, and then he moved his ass back to Cleveland, and then he moved his ass to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. That was called a movement.
But he is more than words.
He moved his ass to make some more money.
He is more than words, because he's put his money into organizations working on registering voters and reversing voter suppression measures.
So here's what he needs to do.
Parts of the nation,
here's what he needs to do. And I'm using my hand sanitizer. Here's what he needs to do.
Tell LeBron what he needs to do. Go ahead.
Did you see, by the way?
Watch this. I'm about to get upset. Watch this. Watch this.
I was going to change this.
No. You're not changing it until we're ready to change it. I'm about to get upset. You know what he needs to do?
Yes.
Just be quiet and keep dribbling that basketball.
Oh, please. Yeah, okay. All right, Michael Jordan.
Speaking of sanitizer, did you see where Rizzo offered the first base, the guy that got a single? He offered some sanitizer to him. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, and kudos to the Marquee Network.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get to do some business and some work with them. But kudos to the Marquee Network and Comcast for finally coming to an agreement so that people can, watch the Cub game.
5 in the morning before the first game.
But I did not want to watch Rizzo spitting.
Oh, yeah.
On a close-up. I don't want to see that. No. Is that the hand sanitizer you were talking about?
But he had sanitizer, and he offered it to the Brewer player who just got in a single.
Yeah.
Is what I saw. Yeah.
Gotcha, man. Hey, we're going to take a short time out here. If you want to jump in, our number is 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. No, LeBron James he's quite a young man, and I wish more people were like LeBron James. And I'm sure if they had his money, they probably would try to be like LeBron.
All of them, it's paying them to have money. They're not doing what he did.
We could talk about Mookie Betts later, too.
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys cashing in during this pandemic. There's no question about it. Congratulations. And they're brothers of color, Marvelous.
Right. There you go.
They're brothers of color. We need the money.
Okay.
We need some coming this way, Lauren.
Yes, we do. It's coming.
It's the Rewind Sports 60. Yours truly, Jerry Riles, along with the marvelous one, Dan Marver, and the lovely, talented, beautiful Lauren Cox. We got a Gabe Salgado.
He's back.
Gabe Salgado is back. We got a TR60 scoreboard update, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully before we're out of here, we'll get an opportunity to catch up with Craig Hodges, the three-point specialist, NBA champion, Chicago Bull. Hopefully we'll be able to get him on our TR60 hotline. More coming up right after this short timeout. It's Gabe Salgado. Take it away, Gabe.
TR60 Sports Update.
It's sponsored by the Monster Education Foundation. The Cubs get key RBIs from Wilson Contreras and Ian Happ as they take down the Milwaukee Brewers 9-1 at Wrigley Field today. Ronaldo Lopez and Eloy Jimenez both left the game with injuries as the White Sox once again give up double-digit runs to the Minnesota Twins in a 14-2 loss. Luis Robert, however, did hit his first big league home run. The Blackhawks announced their playoff roster today as they arrive in Edmonton for the postseason. Corey Crawford is listed on the roster. He missed most of the postseason training camp due to COVID-19. As the Bears get ready for training camp, they've sent tight end Adam Shaheen to Miami for a 6th-round pick, while fellow tight end Ben Broniker has been cut. The Sky came from behind to defeat Las Vegas in their opener down in Florida 88-86, and the Red Stars fall to Houston in the Challenge Cup Championship game 2-0. This update is sponsored by the Monster Education Foundation, MEF, empowering the next generation of leaders. Go to monstereducationfoundation.org to learn more. I am Gabe Salgado telling you to keep wearing those masks out in public, and you're listening to the Rewind Sports 60 on WCPT 820 Chicago.
It's the end of the quarter. Time for a break in the action. The hottest sports panel in Chicago will get back to the fast-paced action, streaming live on Facebook Live. We're back at it after this quick timeout. So don't you dare touch that iPhone, Android, iPad, Mac, or PC. Lock it in.
The RewindSports60.com. Relax. Reset. Rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. The RewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
If it's Chicago sports you want, you're in the right place.
Hello, Chicago!
The Rewind Sports 60.
That's the best in the city of Chicago.
Welcome back to the Rewind Sports 60 live with the best sports panel in Chicago. Lock it in.
Mercy!
Yes, we can.
Yes! 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 That ball hit hard, deep, way back. He looks up, you can't put it on the board. Yes! Yes! Oh, he drops the ball. Call your sons, call your daughters, call your friends, call your neighbors.
Call them. Hawk, where were you? They need to call them. They need to call some pitching. The Sox got their brains beat in.
Yikes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Lauren, you're a Sox side, you're a South Side and a Sox fan, right?
Yes, I am.
What the hell happened?
Well, they're a young team. That's the start of what happened. And I mean, we got to see how this stuff is going to shake out. Everybody is like 2-1 and 1-2 right now. So, I think they're still going to be good. They got some problems, but they're still going to be good. Don't give up on the Sox yet.
Well, I'm not trying to give up on them, but it looked like they gave up on themselves.
Hey.
But again, it's the division winners, the Minnesota Twins in town over at the ballpark on the south side, and the balls are flying out, Marvelous. The balls were flying. They kept talking about, Steve Stone and Jason Benetti on the television broadcast kept talking about the jet stream. Because the White Sox went off yesterday. They got their brains beat in the opener, and then they get their brains beat in today. But they kept talking about this jet stream.
Did you watch the whole game today? It was 14-2 going to the bottom of the ninth, and Benetti says, "We need 11 runs." And I said, "You didn't take math in school, Jason."
No, he's optimistic. And stranger things in the world of sports. That's why we love it. Stranger things have occurred.
Lost by 1 run.
Stranger things have occurred, and strange things. And as our caller Tommy said before the break, that it's like we're living in a nightmare. I don't know. Some people may say a nightmare. Others may say it's a fantasy world. But whatever the case may be, we're living in a totally different world. And if you go out, or if you're a Cub fan and you're watching the Cubs play at the friendly confines, Wrigley Field, they don't have the cardboard cutout fans. They got the crowd noise. But Lauren, did you see, and again, the Marquee Network and Comcast finally came to an agreement so everyone can watch on their subscribed outlet. But did you see
It
the
looked
Cubs?
so crazy.
They put the virtual fans out there.
Well,
it was
I
hilarious.
think that was Fox.
Was it Fox?
Fox did that, yeah.
Was it Fox?
Yeah, it was the Fox game Saturday. They did that.
I thought it was the Marquee Network.
No, it was Fox.
I'm working with Marquee Network, so whatever. So Fox.
It was only the Fox.
Get the money.
They had fans.
What'd you think of that?
It was a nice touch. I mean, it made it look like a real game. And they did the same thing in Los Angeles. It was a Fox thing. Trust me.
What did you? Well, I trust you, Marvelous. Or else you wouldn't be on the show. I didn't trust you.
Keep you in check.
What'd you think of it?
It just was so weird to me. I was just like, no.
Was it like a video game to you?
I could not get with it. I'm like, not at Wrigley. It's just too, and then.
Well, it's interesting because, you can't have fans in the stands, but the Cubs.
They found a way.
They found a way after they, got all the rooftops they possibly could, except for one. Except for one.
They had the few guys that rolled a tarp out were sitting in the stands, I noticed.
Yeah, they certainly did. But there's a rooftop in Wrigley Field, left field, near the fire station. Wrigley View rooftops. And they have a few fans up there. And we wanted to reach out to them to see what the hell is going on and how's everything up there watching the ball games. And we're pleased to be welcome on our TR60 hotline. I love her. She's fantastic. She is a world traveler for sure. And if she's not a world traveler, I can believe and guarantee you she is a Chicago traveler. She's on our TR60 hotline. Wrigley View Rooftops, PR spokesperson, Betsy Shepard. Shep, how are you?
Riles, Riles. Jerry Riles, what's up?
How are you, girl? You okay?
I'm good. I'm still at the rooftop right now. Yeah.
God bless you.
Nice.
Give our best to Aiden, the owner over there. And, they had a couple shots. Marquee Network had a couple shots of the rooftop up there. And I know it's only a limited capacity, but what's the experience like watching a Cub game from there?
You guys, it's so awesome. We've been sold out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, completely sold out. We can do 25% of capacity. So 50-ish tickets are sold.
Mm-hmm.
And, we have the biggest one here, I think, by square footage. So it's very comfortable. And we have the clubhouse's air conditioning, which a lot of people came by today to,
Mm-hmm.
fresh air, to get cool off. And then we have the bleacher section and then the upper deck, which is the sky deck, which is amazing. So, yeah, it's been really great. And then since we are next door to the rooftop, the players' lot is next door to the fire station.
Right.
Next door to the fire station. So you can see all the guys leave. So we saw everybody leave, and everyone's waving at Rizzo and Javi and Corner today. So that was fun. And, yeah, it was a great game today. We needed that.
Yeah, it was a fun game. It was a great game, and it's just really, really cool to see that the rooftops are being occupied, and I like the fact that it's the particular rooftop that you're a part of, Wrigley View rooftops, is because Aiden, the owner, he's like the Lone Ranger. He stands alone, right? He's the only sole owner of a rooftop. The other rooftops are owned by the Cubs, correct?
We're the only rooftop with a view that's left, really, that isn't owned by the Cubs. And we love our Cubby. We love the Cubs. We love the Ricketts. But he built this from the ground up as 20 years ago as condos, and then reverted it to this 9 years ago. So there's still condos on the first and second floor. But the only other one that's not owned by the Ricketts, I believe, is Murphy's, obviously.
Right.
So, but we have an amazing view, and you've been here, right, Jerry?
Yeah, we actually. Thank you, Betsy Shepard. You've done your homework. You've done your research. But a couple years ago, we actually had an opportunity to broadcast live from the rooftop there, Wrigley View rooftops, and you're absolutely right. The view is spectacular, and it was the last weekend of the regular season between the Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals. It was a beautiful, beautiful summer day, and the view is outstanding. And the food, the only drawback, and it didn't affect me, but I had a couple crew members, Shepard, that because of the bleachers that you mentioned, some of the guys got a little bit, they're kind of afraid of heights. Mm-hmm. And so they got a little bit shaky. But other than that, I mean, the food is fantastic. The view is outstanding. And the accommodations, the amenities, and just the personnel, it's all top notch. No question about it.
Thank you. And we have Buona Beef Catering again this year. And I mean, they don't do any wrong. Their food is so good. Mm-hmm. And, and included in the price is the food, beer, wine, and soft drinks. We open an hour early before the game, close 45 minutes after the game. So, but you can only serve, just like if you were at the ballpark, through the end of the seventh inning of for the beer, wine, and soft drink, or beer and wine, anyway. So, yeah, and people can get tickets at WrigleyView.com. And I know, even the Cubs socks are. There's only a few tickets left for one of their series. We have a lot of sold out games already. So here's the thing: I think people are spending their stimulus checks. But it's like one of the only places in the country you can actually see live baseball. So. Hey, you know what? It's a Shepard. We talked about it. It's a source of entertainment, and if it gets you out of the house to do something different, of course you want to practice social distancing, correct? But if it's a way to get out of the house and get some type of escape from the real world, it's the best place to be during the summer. No question about it. How is social distancing coming along as far as the mask and the sanitizer and all that good stuff? So I did want to mention that. So we take your temperature upon entrance. You have to be wearing a mask. And unless you're eating or seated, we have the rooftops is the same CDC rules as restaurants and bars in Chicago. So we're following all those. Hand sanitation, all of that. Everything we're following all of that. So, and the food is individually packaged. So everything is safe and everyone is behaving. And if we keep that up, then maybe we can see through the whole season. And I'm predicting Jerry Riles.
Yes.
Cubs Sox World Series.
Well, hey, you know what? I love that idea, and I'll go to Rivers Casino to place my bets on the odds. But watching the Sox game today, Shepard, I don't know if you know the score, but it wasn't pretty for the Southsiders. So they got some work to do. But hey, it seems like everybody in Major League Baseball is going to make the playoffs. So you never know.
Absolutely.
And I want you, let me know when you guys want to come over. Aiden and I would love to have you.
Thank you.
All right, Betsy.
Hey, Betsy, you were lucky today. You got to see this Dan Marver in the studio. You got to see the players go to their parking lot. You know what normally happens? They go to the bus to Cincinnati afterwards. They're staying in Chicago overnight and leaving in the morning. Normally, you wouldn't have seen them go to the parking lot. But so that was a good thing. I was also going to ask, I mean, are you able to reveal what the cost might be for this lovely event if you want to get a ticket?
I didn't hear what was your question?
Are you able to reveal what it might cost to get a ticket when they're not sold out?
Oh, it depends on the game, but they're ranging from $300 to $400 per game, and people are paying it. So, I mean, listen, you guys, there's only 30 games, and you gotta. I mean, last year, they were $200 a game, mostly. You know, it depends on. Obviously, it's the game. If it's the Cardinals or whoever, they always are more expensive, but it's supply and demand, right? And it's a small business owner. So I'm just happy that people are so happy. That's the thing, you guys. Anyone that's come all the last 30 days, they're so happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And they must be big fans.
No,
to do it.
no. I mean, you.
Here's a little scoop for you.
Yeah.
So I was out here on the balcony, and I looked down, and I hear somebody singing, and it was Porter Moser, head coach of Loyola men's basketball. He was singing the 7th inning stretch. They were filming it with the firemen.
Get out of here.
Jerry Riles, I just gave you a scoop.
God bless you. Send me the video.
I took a picture, and I invited him up.
Yeah. Cool.
I invited Mike Potter, and he was like, "Bets." Yeah, so I invited him up when he and the wife can bring the family to come see it. So,
that's awesome. That's fantastic.
I love it. Hey, Betsy, this is Lauren Cox here. So some of the rooftop fans booed Milwaukee Brewers star Ryan Braun when he was introduced loud enough for the Cubs manager David Ross said Saturday that he could even hear the boos. He said it made him feel right at home. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you guys are giving the players some of that added motivation that they may not get without you guys.
This group today that we had here, and it was all individual tickets, all individual, people here. Because Friday night it was a private event. Someone bought all 50 tickets and had an event.
Okay.
But today, oh my God, they were loud and funny, and they were giving it to them. Oh my gosh, it was really. I was like, is that our rooftop?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, well, the cool thing about it. I watched it on the Marquee Network, and they gave the rooftop looked pretty good. I mean, considering the capacity, it's not a full house, of course, because of social distancing, but they gave a pretty good view shot. Now, again, we were up there broadcasting a couple years ago, which is a great place to do a broadcast. But what's the food like up there? Because of course it has the typical ballpark food, the brats and the dogs and the beer and all that. But has the menu changed or evolved over the past couple of years? What are they serving now? And you said that they're all plastic wrapped and everything. What are they presenting for food?
It's Buona beef, so we have Italian beef, Italian sausage. We've got there. Of course, we're having hot dogs, and we have black bean wraps with corn and brown rice for you health nuts that come to baseball games.
Yummy.
A few other offerings, pasta salad and cookies, and there was ice cream sandwiches today, help cool off people. So yeah, It's delicious food. Wanna be if you can't go wrong.
We gotta get up there.
Who would have had a sponsor?
Jerry Riles. It's Italian beef. You know, it's real good.
It's Italian beef. It's all good. Hey, speaking of Italian beef and it's all good, did you hear the latest from our good friend, the coach, Mike Ditka, saying, hey, if you don't want to kneel, you don't want to stand for the national anthem, get out of here. Go to another country. What was your reaction to that comment from the coach?
Listen, you know that's the most patriotic man in this country, right? You know Coach as well as I do.
Yeah.
And that is truly how he feels.
Yeah, I mean that's
so, bless his heart.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing about Mike Ditka. He, regardless if you love him or if you hate him, he's going to tell you like it is, the way he sees it and the way he feels, and he certainly did that. And he's getting some backlash, but he's also getting some support. So it was interesting to hear the coach. He said, "I'm an old school guy. This is how I am, and that's how it is. Take it or leave it."
Yeah. Old coach.
Yeah.
You know, I mean. Well, you know how I feel about him. I love that man. So, you know, people, you know, he's 80 years old now.
Yeah.
Give him a break.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still spry as heck, but we just gotta, you know, he's patriotic and he doesn't.
Well,
you know, Coach.
Well, Shep.
You know, Coach.
Shep.
He doesn't see color. No. You know that.
Yeah. He sees color. He sees red, white, and blue. That's what he sees.
That's what he sees.
Yeah, but Shep, you need to tell him, hey, Coach, now's not the time to stand on your soapbox. Tell him now's not the time to do that. Tell him he needs to back off a little bit. Cause
I wish I still controlled the PR of.
I wish you did too. Because Shep, there are some people giving him the stink eye right now.
Yep.
They're giving him the stink eye.
Believe me, I know.
Hey, Shepard. Anyway. Thank you. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. I love you. I miss you. And don't be telling any Dennis Rodman stories, okay? What'd you think, real quick, before we out of here, what'd you think of The Last Dance?
I loved it. I lived it. I loved it and lived it. You know that. My sister represented Scott Williams when he played here. So we totally lived that fun roller coaster, beautiful time.
Yeah.
And I loved The Last Dance.
Hey, Chef, I honestly, I don't think you remember half the time you were there. I don't think you remember half the time. You were just...
You're full. Hey, be nice. I gave you an interview.
I love you.
Here comes
I love you.
I love you guys. I can't wait to see you on the rooftop.
You're the best. We'll talk to you. Be good. Bye. Betsy Shepard, the PR spokesperson for the Wrigley View.
Fire engine was coming. She had to leave.
No, you remember back in the day when we were watching the Cubs game and you hear the fire truck leaving back and forth and Jack Brickhouse, hey! Yeah, the rooftop. Lauren, hopefully we'll get an opportunity to schedule something and set up another broadcast. But we did the broadcast. Sure. It was fabulous.
You know, it's funny. I think it's not even the stimulus check. I know for a fact that people are getting their season ticket, money back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if that's more than enough to cover $300, $400, believe me.
Yeah.
Particularly if it's a skybox.
Yeah. I was looking for a cut here. Craig Hodges chimed in. Unfortunately, we won't have an opportunity to talk with him. We'll try to set something up with Craig next week.
Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, where y'all at? I don't understand, for the life of me, how can we go play in a bubble? I don't understand the NBA going back to play, y'all. I don't. And I gotta let it be known, because our people are dying. This is the most critical hour in American history where black men have an opportunity to change the direction of our people. And this ain't no game.
It ain't no game. That's Craig Hodges. We'll hopefully get an opportunity to chat with him next week. He was actually spending time with his mom and lost track of time, and so we give him a pass for that, Lauren.
Yes.
We give him a pass. Real quick, Lauren, our new staple to the show.
3 topics.
Real quick. Unfortunately, we're short, but give it to us real quick.
Effective immediately. Mm-hmm. Washington, formerly, we're not even going to say what they were formerly called, will call themselves the Washington Football Team, pending adoption of a new name. So we got to talk about that at some point. The MLB players kneeled while the WNBA dedicated their entire season to hashtag Say Her Name and then Ghost the Anthem. We talked about that. And then everybody's talking about Clippers, Lou Williams.
Yeah.
He has to exercise a 10-day quarantine
What'd you think of that?
On Orlando campus after picking up some food at Magic City. strip club on excused absence, sidelining him through the first 2 seedling games, NBA says. So
what'd you think of that?
He just
Lou
giving
Williams?
Lakers a free pass right to the championship. Being silly.
No,
ridiculous.
Lou Williams, the rapper.
He was getting some chicken wings. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they said the picture was old that they took. It was old.
With the new mask on, but yeah, okay.
Listen, I told you, Lauren. You can't.
You said it was gonna blow up.
Listen,
they ain't even started playing yet.
They ain't even started yet. You cannot. I swear to you.
Playing for the Clippers.
You
like,
can't. Listen.
You like this close to a championship, dude.
You got a bunch of 20-something-year-old millionaires, or
he
you know.
ain't 20-something. Lou Williams is definitely 30-something.
No, but the point is, you got a bunch of young guys who are the most physically fit people on the face of the planet, and you're gonna put them in an isolated place for 3 months without
professionals, getting paid multi-millions of dollars. They should be professional.
Come on, Lauren.
Please.
Hey,
He 33 years
Lauren.
old. Yes.
You ain't gonna tell no dude to be professional, and
If somebody's paying me millions upon millions of dollars, I'm gonna be very professional. Yeah.
He needs some female companionship.
Please. No.
He ain't boxing. Boxers can take 6 months off. NBA players can't. They can't do it.
Oh, okay.
Marvelous. Before we go, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll tell you. On Thursday, you got the NBA, Pelicans, and Jazz, and the Clippers, and the Lakers, and then don't forget the Blackhawks start on Saturday against Edmonton.
They took off.
So you're gonna have to be switching channels now to watch your sports.
No, it's
they
so
took
much
off to the
going
Great
on.
White North. They're up in Canada.
Edmonton, yeah.
God bless them.
All of them at once. I can't keep up.
Oh, yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
While you're watching the games, wear your mask.
On behalf of Devin Tingle, our producer, it's been another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. Yours truly, Jerry Riles, the great, lovely, talented, and outstanding Lauren Cox, and the marvelous one, Dan Marver. Thanks to our guest, Bessie Shepard, of Wrigley View Rooftop. And thanks to our callers. We love you guys. We appreciate you. Make sure you stay safe. We're on television. We'll see you on Wednesdays, 7 o'clock, Channel 17, Channel 19, Channel 35 in the northern suburbs. We apologize to the viewers from last week. They showed back-to-back shows, and I got to give those guys over at Comcast a call and say, hey, straighten things up.
Get on them.
You got your ticket taken care of over at Comcast at the Marquee Network. Keep the Rewind Sports 60. Get up. We're giving you a fresh show. Make sure you play it. Channel 17, Channel 19, Channel 35. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Have a great week. Safe week. Stay cool.
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Social distance.
Social distancing. And get your hand sanitizer.
Please.
We'll see you on Wednesday on television. Take care, everybody. Gabe Salgado, TR60 Scoreboard Update. Welcome back, buddy. Take it away.
TR60 Sports Update.
The Bears will open up training camp in Hallis Hall on Tuesday, and it will be the first time that the team has held camp in Lake Forest since 1983. The NFL will allow players to opt out this season if they don't feel comfortable playing amidst the coronavirus pandemic. Any player who opts out will receive a partial salary for this season. This update has been sponsored by the Marver Education Foundation. I'm Gabe Salgado, and this is the Rewind Sports 60 on WCPT 820, Chicago.
TheRewindSports60.com. Relax. Reset. Rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60. TheRewindSports60.com. TheRewindSports60.com.
The Rewind Sports 60.
We'll do this before we go into questions. So go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, I just wanted to start off by saying I tested positive for COVID. So, I've had to quarantine in my place here in Chicago for the last few weeks. That was the case for my absence at camp, and excited to be back. I'm gonna try and get into it as quick as possible and try and get that game shape back.
Thank you very much, Corey. We're going to head into some questions now. We'll start with Tracy Myers from NHL.com. Tracy, your line's active and you can go ahead.
Corey, good to see you again. And just how tough have these last couple weeks been on you? Just trying to get back and waiting, I assume, for everything to be all clear.
It was, I'd say it was a lot tougher at the start. The first few days that I started feeling symptoms, that was the hardest. The last couple weeks, maybe a little bit more, was a little bit easier, but I still couldn't really do much in case there was something wrong with my lungs or my heart. So we had to get that checked out first before I really started pushing in the gym or come on the ice. So all of that has been done. The doctors did a good job. I think we were safe enough about it where we didn't put anyone else at risk, and I'm just excited to be back on the ice and seeing pucks again.
Thanks, Tracy. Our next question will come from Charlie Remeliotis from NBC Sports Chicago. Charlie, your line's active. You can go ahead.
Hey, Corey, good to see you. How much time do you feel like you need to kind of get back up to game speed, and do you hope to be ready by game one?
Obviously there's not much time, but I've never really been someone that skates a ton in the summer anyway. But I feel like it takes a few practices just to get your legs under you. It doesn't really matter what you do in the gym, but today felt decent for the first time on the ice, and I'm just going to try and build off of that. It was a good session with Jimmy, doing the goalie drills. Pushing around the crease felt great. It's just I think a little bit more the cardio part, the endurance in the legs. After I get a few practices, that will be a lot better.
Our next question comes from Scott Powers with The Athletic. Scott, your line's active. You can go ahead.
Hey, Corey. I know people that they come down with COVID, that the symptoms seem to vary. Did you know much about it? And I don't know if you can go talk about it all, kind of what you felt and how it affected you.
It's hard to say. A lot of people had different symptoms. I heard some stuff on the news, but I was trying to stay as safe as possible with my family. We spent a lot of time at home actually, and with two young kids, a new baby at home, and our 2-year-old. So, we really didn't spend that much time out. So it was actually a really, really big surprise that I tested positive. And, I was just, hoping to recover as quickly as possible. Hearing that some people, the symptoms could last for months, but it seemed to go by fairly quick with pretty much flu-like symptoms. And then, once those were gone, the bad ones, within a few days, it was more just trying to recover and get the 10 days. And we even went further than that, 2 weeks, just to make sure that, it was the safest thing.
Our next question is from Ben Pope from the Chicago Sun-Times. Ben, your line's active. You can go ahead.
Hi, Corey. Looking ahead to Edmonton, what are your thoughts about going there and being in the bubble, and how do you think the playoffs will go if you're ready in time?
It's definitely something different. I think just missing the crowd. Playoff hockey is it's all about having that crowd there and feeding off of them. That's part of the excitement, and that would be pretty weird to adjust to at first, but still, I think once we get into those games, especially against a team like Edmonton, it's going to be some high-paced hockey, and I think it's going to be exciting to watch for the fans. And we're trying to get as ready as we can right now to be good for that first game. And it's an exciting time. I think obviously it was a weird time for everyone in this country and in Canada and all over the world, obviously. But we're excited, I think, to get back to what we're used to doing.
We will now go to Phil Thompson from the Chicago Tribune. Phil, your line's active. You can go ahead.
Hi, Corey. Good to see you doing well. I want to know how did you feel emotionally about going through this COVID ordeal, as well as having to be away from the team?
Like I said, I think it was just a shock, and it's kind of a little bit of the unknown too, because as we just talked about, everyone kind of feels it a little bit differently. And I think there's still some people that had it, and months later, they're still it's still kind of creeping back on them. So that was a lot of things to think about for me and my wife, and but we just took it as it came. I mean, it was nice to get the worst part a few days later to start feeling like a little bit more energy, and the symptoms were dying down. So after that, it was I think it was just kind of checking the schedule and trying to figure out like how much time there was to really have a chance to get back. And it kind of worked out that I was able to come back with maybe a week or so with practices, and hopefully I can get in the right shape and be able to see the puck well enough to be at the top of my game. And so it was just a weird time to just stay at home and just wait and hopefully it passed quickly.
Our next question is from John Dietz from the Daily Herald. John, your line's active. You can go ahead.
Hey, Corey. Good to see you. I wanted to just ask if you said it was a surprise that you got it. So was there any idea about how you got it? Did anybody did anybody get it or have it? And then just, was it difficult to be, I guess, did you have to stay quarantined from your family, and how difficult was that?
It's almost impossible to know where I got it. It's really hard to say. When I first did get it, I was at home, obviously, with my family, and I stayed in the guest room for a little bit, and until I started feeling the worst. It was feeling a little bit better. Then obviously had to wear a mask around the house, around the kids and stuff, and but it was hard too with a brand new baby with my wife and a 2-year-old. So as soon as I had the energy to try and do stuff, I was as cautious as possible around the kids and around her, and we just tried to do our best to do with what it was. And so now I'm excited to get back to playing hockey, and it's hopefully have enough time here, and I'm excited to stop some pucks again.
Our next question will come from Carter Baum from Blackhawks.com. Carter, your line's active. You can go ahead.
Corey, it's good to see you doing healthy. Having to stay away from the team for the last 2 weeks, stepping into the locker room and onto the ice today, what's kind of your your takeaway on how ready this group is. And it seems like things are starting to really come together right at the right time for you guys, at least right before you leave.
Yeah, I mean, it felt pretty fast for me out there today. It seemed like guys were moving pretty good and shooting the puck pretty good. But I mean, it's a good opportunity. It's a good opportunity for young guys that haven't played in the playoffs. Regardless of fans being in the stands, they'll see that the intensity will be ramped up a little bit, and it'll be a good experience for them. And even veteran guys, another chance at another cup. So everyone's excited, it seems, and I think after a few weeks of skating, it looks like guys are itching to get to the games here.
Our last question today will come from Phil Thompson from the Chicago Tribune. Phil, your line's active, and you can go ahead.
Thanks again, Corey. I want to know if you observed some of the backup goalies and if anything stood out to you, or if you stayed in communication with them.
Sorry, with the Blackhawk.
Oh, with Subban and Delia, if you talked to them throughout this, and if you noticed anything about their play during camp.
I didn't really watch. I texted Subban throughout the break, and I mean that's it's kind of a tough situation too. You're not sure if I'm coming back or what's what, but for them, I guess once you get in the net, nothing really changes. You're just trying to stop the puck, and and these scrimmages are always a little bit different than actual games. So I'm sure it's nice to get some game-like situations for them. But I think it's just seeing pucks, seeing a lot of pucks, and getting used to shots and getting your eyes going too.
Corey, thank you very much for your time today. It's great to see you, and we will talk to you soon. Media, if you could please jump on the Jeremy Colleton call, and we will get that started in the next.
The Rewind Sports 60.
The RewindSports60.com. Relax. Reset. Rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. The RewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
The Rewind Sports 60.
To have him out there. Guys are all happy to see him, and we got right into the net. So got some work in with Jimmy. So that's positive, and we'll get him ready as soon as we can.
Again, if you have a question for Jeremy Colleton, please press the raise hand button and we will get to you. Our next question is from Ben Pope from the Chicago Sun-Times. Ben, your line is active and you can go ahead.
Hi, Jeremy. What did you think of Crawford in the scrimmage, and just also your impressions of the overall team performance in the scrimmage?
Yeah, I mean, great to get him on the ice. It's first day back. That's just the biggest thing, feeling the puck and getting comfortable and getting his game legs back. So I'm not gonna critique things on day one here, but we don't have a lot of time, so that we do have some urgency, but he knows that, and he's been through it before as far as trying to come back off an injury and get right in. So we'll keep going on that process. And then as far as the game, I thought that it was a great lesson for our team. The way you need to play to win. I thought the red team was, their work ethic was outstanding away from the puck. They played a very clean game, didn't turn pucks over. 5 guys back, numbers above all the time, and forcing the black team to come through numbers and work for everything they got. And so obviously we mentioned it to the team in between periods. And again, that's the kind of mentality we're going to need to have in the playoffs to have success.
Our next question is from John Dietz from the Daily Herald. John, your line is active and you can go ahead.
Hey, Jeremy. I'm not sure what happened. I got in here a little late, so I'm sure you've been asked some Crawford questions. Is it just how nice is it to see him back on the ice? What does this do to your chances? And does it go without saying that as long as he's ready, he's your goaltender?
Yeah, obviously his track record and his highest level it's a big lift for our team to have him back in the group. And we just got to take it day by day. We've been doing that in the past couple of weeks, not knowing what was going to happen as far as us getting him back. And now the challenge is every day to do what we can to prepare him to be ready. And we don't need to make that decision right now.
And if you have a question for Jeremy Colleton, please press the raise hand button and we'll go to Carter Baum from blackhawks.com. Carter, your line is active and you can go ahead.
Jeremy, you get Corey back today. You have Murphy kind of working his way back, DeHaan back the other day. Is it nice to kind of have all these things starting to click? I mean, you probably would have rather had them in camp earlier, but especially right before you leave to kind of have the pieces falling into place.
Yeah, we want everyone on board. We need everyone to have success and give ourselves the best chance. So certainly encouraging to get those guys back on the ice. In a perfect world, we would have had them for the whole time and been able to prepare them. Just getting used to the workload and whatnot. But all teams are going to deal with some sort of adversity as far as guys missing, and we just got to get through it. And we're the players. I know they're doing everything they can to prepare, and we'll be ready on August 1st.
We'll go to Phil Thompson from the Chicago Tribune. Phil, your line's active. You can go ahead.
Thanks, Jeremy. I want to know how much you knew about Corey going through this COVID situation, and what kind of communication you had with him throughout this. And as a coach, what you had to do or couldn't do is kind of a lesson for other coaches that may come into this situation as we go through this return to play.
Well, I mean, ultimately, we listen to the medical team that we have and the guidelines that have been set for this. It's our uncharted territory for everybody. But if we follow the advice of the doctors and the people who've done the work to hopefully understand the virus better, we will get a good result. And we're happy to have Corey back. I think the medical team did a great job dealing with all the things that come up under these circumstances. And obviously we were talking to Corey, texting on the phone, Jimmy, obviously the medical team. So following his progress, and we get through it, a little adversity, but we found a way to get him back here.
We'll now go to John Dietz from the Daily Herald. John, your line is active. You can go ahead.
Jeremy, I'm going to hopefully ask this correctly, but what do you need to see out of Corey in this next week? I mean, obviously his conditioning can't be where you'd want it to be right now. There's only a week to go. There's timing issues. There's, all these things that go into being a goaltender that are, and he's trying to ramp everything up in 1 week. I mean, is that going to be a very difficult decision for you to make? And I guess I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll know it when we see it. Obviously, Jimmy works closely with the goaltenders, and we're preparing all of them for the challenge of playing, and we'll see how things look once we get closer. But when you have time, you should use it, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to allow things to play out, and we'll see.
Jeremy, thank you very much for your time today and your time throughout training camp. We'll talk to you again from Edmonton. Thank you very much, media.
Relax. reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Sports Medicine Update podcast. This is podcast number 8. Yours truly, Jerry Riles, and of course, the Honorable Dr. Chad Pedromas. Doc, how are you?
Jerry, I'm doing very well. Thank you. How about you?
I'm doing excitingly well, very well, considering the circumstances that we're living under regarding the pandemic, coronavirus, and COVID-19, and of course with the heat and everything. But other than that, pretty much I'm healthy, I'm safe and well, and I'm doing fine, my good friend.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, we're speaking of the coronavirus and COVID, and, we've been in this thing for about, 3 months or so, 4 months or whatever the case may be. And we have certainly been tested as a society, as a culture. And as far as Illinois is concerned, we pretty much leveled things off from, I believe, late May to early June, where we had our highest numbers as far as cases are concerned and unfortunate deaths. But during the month of June and part of July, as far as the state handling, the cases here, we've really done a fantastic job compared to the other states and, of course, some areas around the world. But now the numbers are starting to ease up and move up the charts again. And a lot of people speculated it was from, not everyone practicing social distancing. Maybe the protests had a little bit to do with it, a few weeks back. But first and foremost, are you surprised that the numbers are starting to slowly but surely notch its way up, back to, we don't want it to get there, but are you concerned that the numbers are starting to go back up?
I'm not real concerned. And the reason is that I think that, as I've mentioned before, I think that they need to be kept at a level where hospitals are not overwhelmed and ICUs. And basically that isn't happening any place in the country. There was some concern about Houston, but it's really okay. And they've got convertible ICUs. So I think as long as that doesn't happen and treatment is good, I'm of the opinion, as I've expressed before, that herd immunity is something that is helping to bend the curve. So I think you'll learn. Things probably opened up a little bit too much, and I think everybody. Nice to see people agreeing. I think the states and the governors, our president, have all kind of agreed that that masks, that social distancing, that tamping down a little are worthwhile. So I think everybody's kind of working together, keep it under control. I don't think it's going to get out of control.
Well, I'm hoping it doesn't get out of control, and you're absolutely right. It seems like everyone has slowly but surely have come around to their senses and say, hey, the important thing for all of us is to practice social distancing, to put the mask on, wash your hands, and, we can get a hold on this thing. And as far as the sports world is concerned, we have seen and a lot of people around the country are ecstatic and elated that sports is slowly but surely coming back to some sort of normalcy as well, with the NBA scheduled to tip off the regular season or the remainder of the regular season of the playoffs at the end of the month. But baseball, as of this recording, Doc, is in the air. Opening day, White Sox on the south side, the Cubs on the north side, and baseball fans are just ecstatic and beside themselves that the sport is back. But of course, one of the main issues and one of the main questions in the return of these sports, obviously, is the testing. And we know that the bubble down in Orlando with the NBA, those players are being tested often and frequently. There have been some cases where some players either were delayed in arriving down at the bubble in Orlando, or they had to quarantine themselves. Some had to leave because of emergency reasons. But there have been some cases of positive testing regarding the NBA and the bubble down there. But all in all, it seemed like the players are going to be tested. The NBA and Adam Silver, the commissioner, have done a fantastic job of putting the protocols in place and trying to protect these players as much as they can and as best as they can. But as far as mainstream America, Joe Citizen, there are some people who are concerned, Doc, that, wait a minute, how come these guys get all these tests frequently, almost daily, to monitor how they're doing, whereas, Joe down the street get tested, but he's going to have to wait not 3, not 4, not 5 days, sometimes a couple weeks, 3 weeks before he gets some results back. What have you heard regarding the testing protocol regarding the professional athletes versus Joe Citizen and the debate over it?
Yeah, it's a complicated question, and I think some of it's reality, some of it's perception, some of it's substance, some of it is optics, and you can argue it both ways. In terms of the total number of tests being done, it's been argued by the sports leagues that their testing volume, even as frequent as it is sort of a drop in the bucket. Others have said if the system's already a little stressed, that drop in the bucket might matter, and that's a matter of definition. I don't have any inside information as to how these teams are doing their testing beyond what's in the media, and I've read some of that. And as best as I can tell, the teams, at least the ones I've read about, are using existing labs and contracting with them. And they pay a lot of money, but they have money to burn. So the money to them isn't the issue. And of course, that isn't what you're talking about either. You're saying, well, does the fact that they're going to the front of the line, whatever, as you said, is Joe Citizen not getting there? And so I don't know. I don't know if it's having some effect. I think maybe it is a little. But here's the thing. I think it's a little bit optics. And, sports is just so different from when I was a kid. When I was a kid, the pro athletes, and this is, 100 years ago, but they made a little money and they had summer jobs. Now, of course, they're very wealthy. So professional athletes are an aristocracy. They're very wealthy. They're taken care of. And I think it's wonderful. However, really, sports exist because they get people, allow people to get into a little bit of a parallel universe where it's not the politics and their work and all that kind of stuff. So the thing is, if Joe Citizen feels a little resentful of these athletes, and maybe they shouldn't, but if they do, I don't know. I think that's maybe a little bit of concern. And I'll tell you one thing that I kind of wonder about, and I don't know the answer. I talked to the person who does testing for us. So, I'm a healthcare provider, and here and there we have people that need to be tested kind of quickly, and we pay for it. It's not a lot, but here and there. So I was asking him, I said, what's the story on these machines? So you would think to yourself, what would it take for the teams to buy their own equipment? So I don't intend for this to be definitive, but he said to me, there are these inexpensive machines for $5,000, but the false negative and positive rate is high. So I don't know that they're that great. But the ones that give high reliability, he told me, cost about $100,000. And he said, then you have to buy some reagents. He said you need a CLIA license. CLIA is kind of a laboratory thing and whatnot. Maybe it takes a month to get. So you know what I wonder? And I don't know the answer. But as best I can tell from what I've read and the teams I've read about, they're not doing that. They're just contracting with labs. So I think to myself, and I asked him, I said, if teams want to get these machines, are they available? They're in short supply. He says, no, I think they're available. So I kind of think, I don't know, if they're in a queue with everybody else, and it sort of seems to me they are, I don't know if it matters much. I'm just not sure the optics of that is that great, and maybe it does matter a little. I would wonder why teams wouldn't buy their own machines, get a license. He told me it takes 3 or 4 weeks to get, but I mean, gee, these guys, I think, could do that. So if they are buying, and if they let it be known that they own their own equipment that they paid for, then it seems to me this question goes away. And, maybe it's happening and I don't know about it. But honestly, I think, and I know when people have asked me about this, I think people think about it, and I think people sort of don't like it. And,
Right.
I think athletes are a little resented here and there anyway, all the money they've got and such. So I don't know. I think they have a little bit of an optics problem, and it would seem to me that they could probably correct it. And, I've read some things on the teams have published, and they said, well, we are assured that the fact that we're doing these tests isn't making other people wait. But I don't know. I mean, do people, just because they're assuring you, do people necessarily believe it? But it seems to me if you get your own machines and you say, we've got our own machines that we paid for that otherwise nobody would be using, we're doing this ourselves, seems to me it takes care of the problem. So I think it would be smart for them to do maybe a little more than what they're doing. Because you've heard people ask, I've heard people ask, so I think people are thinking about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the short answer, and I don't have the answer either, but I think the short answer, first and foremost, when this pandemic hit us, and none of us have experienced anything like this in our lifetime, and including, the major corporations, whether it's the banks or the auto industry or, whatever the case may be, we are experiencing something that we've never encountered before. And so I think the NBA, with a short answer, was just trying to figure how we can get back to playing. And it's not necessarily an essential, but it's as you mentioned, it's something for Joe Citizen to, escape his real world for, whatever 2.5, 3 hours or whatever the case may be. So I think the NBA and Adam Silver and his team of experts, so to speak, figured we got to find the best way to get back up and running. One, to save the league, and two, to bring America some type of cohesiveness, so to speak. And they reached out to these parties to say, hey, you know what, we need you because you are the experts in this area, and we need you to accommodate us and help us to protect our interests, which are the players, and let's get back up to some sort of normalcy and respectability. I think once they get past this hurdle, as far as the playoffs and the championship, if we're blessed to get to that point, I think maybe the question that you pose will be on the discussion table between the end of this season and the start of next season. We're talking about January 1 or whatever the case may be. I think that's something that they will be able to address because now they have something concrete that, and I say they, meaning the league, that they can go on and think, hey, you know what, maybe this is a venture we should look into, that we have our own, and we can continue to protect the players, but also make sure that we're not taking up supplies that can go to Joe Citizen, which will appease the fan base and, the average citizen. So it's a great question. It's a great thought. It's a great idea. I think the league have not crossed that bridge, so to speak, as far as getting back up to normalcy. But I do understand and like exactly what you're saying, and I think it certainly can work. But in the meantime, again, Joe Citizen is like wondering, why are these athletes, because they are millionaires, multimillionaires, and the owners are billionaires, multi-billionaires, why are they being moved to the front of the line? Whereas, I got to wait to get tested. Or you look at Chicago and they have 6 testing sites, but prior to a few weeks ago, they only had 2, I believe.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, a lot of people don't see, the logic behind that.
Yeah, I mean, if you had an organization of CEOs and executives and they said we get tests whenever we want them and everybody knew, I don't know. I don't think people would like it. And I'll tell you something else, and this is just grumbling that I hear and see, is that so here's another thing. So sports are valuable, and and I put it out there. I think it's just a alternative reality that can be escapism. But the other thing about sports that's talked about is that they're useful for the economy because they employ a lot of other ancillary people, the peanut vendor at the ball game, and people go to the games, they eat at restaurants, they do all that kind of stuff. But it's interesting when you think about it now. If you've just got players and you don't have fans and you don't have peanut vendors because nobody buy peanuts. So there again, the sports thing has been controversial, as you know, for 50 years, with the stadiums, right? And this has been argued. What is the benefit of a sports team? Should you, give them a tax break, whatever? And the arguments that I mentioned are always saying, well, it's not just these athletes, it does other stuff. But the other stuff right now is maybe not there so much either. So I kind of think that makes the optics problem even a little worse, because I think now the well-to-do athletes and the well-to-do owners are paying themselves. But then, I think the argument that they're feeding a lot of other mouths is mostly kind of not there, and not their fault. Nothing they can do, except I think that, maybe paying a little more attention to optics. I'll tell you something else. And by the way, these are the things I'm telling you are things that I've just read about a fair amount. People have said, well, fine, if you're in Chicago, so great, you're paying, and they're paying 7 figures for this testing, right? So, go out, I don't know, wouldn't it be perfect with what's going on now? Go buy one of these machines for $100K, set up a testing station, and teams do things, they're philanthropic, and we know it. They do community stuff. And I think all our teams are great. The Reinsdorfs and Ricketts and the McCaskies, everybody, they're great people. However, wouldn't it be a nice thing? They say, yeah, we can afford to pay, we get tests, but we want to help regular Chicagoans. I don't think it would cost them much. I think it'd be a nice gesture. Just a thought. But it's a thought that I've seen raised a lot. It's why I bring it up.
Yeah, no, it is a great question. And I think that's what when you talk about the local teams, the Reinsdorfs, the McCaskies, the Ricketts,
the Works. I don't want to leave them out either. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they want to be transparent, and they want to show Chicagoans that they are behind them, that they are supporting. And so some people, and that they're always out there, if they adopted the game plan approach that you mentioned, they're going to get a backlash, because again, there's going to be that group of people to say, hey, you know what, the millionaires, the billionaires are only concerned about themselves and taking care of themselves, and they're not concerned about the little guy. Although, these teams, these owners locally in Chicago are doing everything in their power to help their fan base and help the community and help the citizens of Chicago. So I've never owned a professional sports team, and I don't think I'll be owning one in the future, but I know that they're dealing with a lot. And what you and I may consider, a logical idea, a logical, reality, in their world, it may not be so logical, just because of the backlash that they may feel, and of course the economics surrounding it.
I get it, but they're in the entertainment business, so it's not like they're selling groceries that people need to buy, right? So they're playing games because people like to watch games because it makes people feel good. So I think it's just a little more, just from their own point of view. They don't need my advice, and they'll do fine without this. But I don't know, I think when you're in a privileged position, it's just all the more incumbent, especially entertainment, to put that front and center. And I don't see, maybe I'm missing it, I just don't see a lot where that's happened. Are they obligated to? No, but I don't know, I think it seems to me that just for their own sake, that doing a little more for optics, if nothing else, and just to be good people. So far, I know they do things in the community. Lots of people, teams, players, Joakim Noah, all these guys, they're great people.
Right.
However, it's COVID, right? So this horrible thing. So wouldn't it be a great opportunity to both mute the criticism and do something nice for people? And maybe there, and I don't know about it, but I just think, and I guess because we're all living in this testing world, but you know, I'm in there trying to get people scheduled for surgery and trying to find where can I get a test done. So we're all struggling with this, right? And so, and for people where it's just handed to them, always good to identify with the common person.
Yeah, here's the thing, and it's again, I don't think, Doc, there's a right or wrong answer, or even maybe a right or wrong question, because again, we're someplace we've never been before. But there are certainly critics out there now, and even before the NBA, Major League Baseball, hockey, the NFL, which announced that they're going to move forward and players are scheduled to report by the end of the month. But there are people who, you know, blasted those leagues for considering returning based on the fact that we're in a pandemic and that lives are being lost. And again, it's the haves against the have-nots. And it's again, we all want to see. I mean, we're excited, my family and I, the fact that baseball is starting up this weekend. And of course, the NBA is gearing up, and they have everything going down there at the bubble. And the NFL is, you know, looking to move forward. But there are a lot of people who aren't sports fans who you know, say they support the human race, and they're like, we don't have time for fun and games, so to speak, no pun intended. This is a very serious matter, and you guys, because you have the money, you're being greedy, and it's wealth over health. And,
Wow.
and that's what the dilemma is for these professional athletes and the owners.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, you know, there have been some issues with all the leagues, really. You know, there's been talk that, I mean, everybody knows baseball, the fan base for baseball is just shrinking. It's older people, not so much younger people. And, you know, and I don't know numbers for any of these leagues. And I've heard it said that the NBA is one of the reasons that they cultivate China is because they might have some issues here. You know, the NFL, I mean, all of them. So I just think that, I mean, I don't want to repeat myself here, but I think it makes people feel even better if you're empathizing.
Yeah, I agree with you, Doc. I think it's something that we all need, no question about it. And we all want to, you know, again, get back to some sort of normalcy. Because, I mean, we look around the corner and, you know, there's the issues and the debate regarding, you know, the opening of schools. That's another can of worm, and, you know, that probably is going to be open soon. And again, there are people saying there's no reason to have sports when, you know, we're faced with this crisis, worldwide crisis, and we don't have a real solution for it. You know, it's the sign of the times as far as, you know, how we're living day to day. And I think the professional athletes and the owners are doing the best that they can under the current situations. The interesting question before we, you know, we get out of here, Doc, the other question that came up when it was said that these teams were going to be resuming playing sports, obviously, you know, the big issue regarding the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago, where Mayor Lori Lightfoot said that anyone coming into the state of Illinois, well, into the city of Chicago from these hot states, so to speak, that the numbers have peaked, will have to self-quarantine themselves for, I believe, 10 to 14 days. And the big question that arose from that was, well, baseball's saying they're going to start things up July 23rd and 24th. What does that mean for these professional athletes and teams flying into town to play the Cubs or the Sox? What were your thoughts when you heard about that?
I got to tell you, Jerry, so I tried to look into it as best I could. Mm-hmm. And so what I sort of read was that the administration of the city had said that because they have an organized, something to the effect, they have an organized testing program and they have a structured plan, that it's okay. But then, you know, that begets the question, what if other people have an organized testing program and are willing to quarantine? I don't think that option is open to them. Mm-hmm. So then you're saying, I get the rationale, and I think it's okay. You know, honestly, I think they'll be fine. I think it's great. However, this can be difficult for people. We have people that travel for medical reasons, and I've got a gentleman coming out from California to have surgery with me. We were just talking about it yesterday. And normally people come out, they stay 5 days and go back. We're thinking, gee whiz, we have to plan the quarantine and all that. So, and that's fine. We're doing what we have to do. But the thing is, I don't think other people get that option. And again, with what I was saying before, so then you say to yourself, all right, athletes have a structured plan. I think it's great. But I don't think other people can apply for similar status. And then, well, why? Why are athletes entitled and others aren't? So then, I was saying before, well, they bring money to the city and they do this and they do that, except right now, maybe not so much, right? Because they're not, as I said, they're not feeding this many other mouths and whatnot. So it smacks a little, not saying it's intended this way. And as you probably know, in Canada, they said, forget about it,
Right,
so
right.
Baseball and whatnot. So it smacks a little bit of privileged athletes being given special treatment. Actually, I think they clearly are. I don't resent it. I'm glad they're able to go about their job. But I would say this, if you're going to put that in place for them, then why not allow it if other people let them fill something out and say they've, got a plan? And I guess the argument would be, well, we don't have the people to handle it. I don't know, but I think it's that little, bad optics, maybe bad substance. I don't blame everybody. Mayor Lightfoot's trying to do the best she can. She wants to keep the teams going. I get it. I don't fault her, but I don't think it's a good look.
Well, I do think, and I seen some of the verbiage. I reached out to the Cubs and I reached out to the mayor's office regarding the question, and I did get some response from the mayor's office. And I believe the verbiage, it does say professional athletes, but I also believe corporate businesses fall under that. What word am I trying to find? But they fall under that umbrella, so to speak. But of course, if they have all the criteria in place, i.e., Major League Baseball, we know that they talked about bringing a second bubble here to Chicago, for the NBA. But it's because they had everything in place and outlined detail from A to Z how everything was going to be structured. I think if major corporations wanted to operate the same way, that they would have to present their, itinerary or whatever the case may be. They would have to present that information to the city for them to get the okay to travel back and forth and to conduct business in the city.
Well, okay.
So I don't think it's just excluded to the professional athletes, although they are the front runners. Based on the exemption.
Well, if it's going. Other people, it's a pretty well kept secret. And I'll tell you something else. So then you say professional athletes and major corporations. So you get one elite group, and then you get another elite group. How about, how about small businesses? And if that is available, then let people know. Why? And I'll tell you, it's not complicated. It's really not. You just have to say you've got a plan in place for testing, and you're going to quarantine, when you get back. And actually, there's ways. There's periods of latency, so you don't need a 2-week quarantine if you get a test within 5 days, say, of possible exposure. Because if you've gotten it by then, you're going to test, right? So, I could draw up a paradigm for that in 5 minutes, and that could be available to everybody. So, professional athletes, major corporations, I don't know. And like I said, if it is available to everybody, so why major corporations? Why not small businesses? And if it is available, why not tell people about it?
Right. I think part of it, Doc, is the fact that they want to try to control as much as they can for the safety of the general public, but because we certainly understand, and we've seen it with the opening of the restaurants and bars, how careless people have been. And of course, the mayor has threatened to, shut things down again because, and bar owners and restaurants have been pleading with, the residents, saying that you have to abide by, the ordinance of social distancing and putting your mask on. regardless if you think you have the constitutional right or whatever the case may be. This is all about safety. And so I think that was put into place to send a red flag up to people to say, hey, you know what? You have to police yourselves. And we're not going to bring, because look at the state of Wisconsin, look at the state of Indiana, look at the state of Missouri, look at Iowa, the surrounding states here, Illinois. They just put the mandate in Indiana for mask all around the state based on the numbers that were rising. We know what happened with Wisconsin, where they didn't abide by it, and the numbers shot up. So they don't want those individuals coming here to Chicago for a weekend or whatever the case may be and not practicing social distancing.
I get it, and I totally agree. However, implicit, I think, in what you're saying is that if the NBA says it, you can trust them, and if big corporate boards say it, you can trust them. But if Joe Citizen and his small group says it, maybe not so much. And I don't know about that. I think give people an opportunity. Again, if somebody has a plan and they say, I'm planning on quarantining here, from here, and here, I'm going to get the test when I come back. Why is a small business owner's word any less valid, and in fact, than a big corporation and the NBA? And, and actually, a lot of times I think Joe Citizen, if they go to the trouble to say this, maybe might take it more seriously. Sometimes and I know that people that are more prominent say, yeah, I don't know. I think people are people. But I think if you're going to make it available to some people with a plan, an organized plan, make it available to everybody. And I don't think that Joe Citizen is any less voracious than big corporations and athletes.
No, and you're right, but unfortunately, we've seen the proof in the pudding, as they say, where again, when the stay-at-home ordinance was lifted and bars and restaurants and spas were able to open, we saw how negligent the citizens of the city were, but not abiding by. Even when the general manager or the manager of these bars and restaurants said you need to have your mask on, they were met with a combative force and combative nature, saying I have my first right, and that's too much to ask for the restaurant owner or the bar owner to police when they're trying to conduct business.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a quarantine. And I mean, has there never been an athlete who's gotten a little combative? I think people are people. And what I'm saying is, I think right now it's giving preferred status to athletes, and from what you said, maybe to big corporations. And you're right. People break rules, but everybody breaks rules. I think that argument is a completely separate and distinct one from the idea of the quarantining. You're taking their word for it. You're taking the athlete's word for it. You're taking the corporation. It's not being enforced. It's not being policed. But I don't know that. I don't think it's right, honestly, to trust one group of people over another, particularly when the two that you've just mentioned happen to be rich people, So
I agree.
Just saying.
I agree. And when this pandemic hit, the big slogan and the hashtag was, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
So somewhere along the way from March 10th all the way till today, we've kind of lost that, being all in this together. And, hopefully we can collectively get back to that as a nation. But until that time occurs, I think we just need to really personally police ourselves and police our family members, and
absolutely
just consider your fellow man, your fellow woman, your fellow neighbor, and put a mask on. That's all. We're just and stand over there. Stand over there.
I gotta say, so I'm sitting here at home in a room without a mask, but I wear one all the time. And honestly, as I mentioned before, maybe because I've been wearing one most of my adult life for long periods of time in surgery, but I think they're fine, so I absolutely wear a mask. I think people are maybe getting the message.
Well, our president is wearing it, that's for sure. So
there you go.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. I agree.
That's a very good sign. Hey, Doc, before we get out of here, the Sports Medicine Update Podcast, the weekly podcast with Dr. Chad Prodromus, where can people get a hold of you? Where can they find your fine work?
So our main number is 847-699-6810. All the people there are bright and helpful. An email is ortho@ismoc.net. And if you have questions for the show, actually like the one we just talked about tonight with the testing, let us know. We'll try to get to them. Or if you have questions for us at our office, same thing. We'll be happy to answer everything that comes in.
That sounds good. It's the Sports Medicine Update Podcast, the weekly podcast with Dr. Chad Prodromus. You can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitch. Just Google Sports Medicine Update, the podcast. We love to hear from you. Doc, take care of yourself. Enjoy the weekend. Stay cool. And we'll certainly look forward to talking with you again to get some more information, more insight in the world of sports and medicine, and of course to prevent those injuries. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next week.
Likewise, Jerry. Thanks.
Your line's active, and you go ahead.
Hello, Jeremy. How big a lift was it to get Corey Crawford back?
Yeah, it's great to have him out there. Guys are all happy to see him, and we got right into the net. So got some work in with Jimmy, so that's positive, and we'll get him ready as soon as we can.
Again, if you have a question for Jeremy Colleton, please press the raise hand button, and we will get to you. Our next question is from Ben Pope from the Chicago Sun-Times. Ben, your line is active, and you can go ahead.
Hi, Jeremy. What did you think of Crawford in the scrimmage, and just also your impressions of the overall team performance in the scrimmage?
Yeah, I mean, great to get him on the ice. It's first day back. That's just the biggest thing, feeling the puck and getting comfortable and getting his game legs back. So I'm not gonna critique things on day one here, but we don't have a lot of time, so that we do have some urgency, but he knows that, and he's been through it before as far as trying to come back off an injury and get right in. So we'll keep going on that process. And then as far as the game, I thought that it was a great lesson for our team. The way you need to play to win. I thought the red team was, their work ethic was outstanding away from the puck. They played a very clean game, didn't turn pucks over, 5 guys back, numbers above all the time, and forcing the black team to come through numbers and work for everything they got. And so obviously we mentioned it to the team in between periods. And again, that's the kind of mentality we're going to need to have in the playoffs to have success.
Our next question is from John Dietz from the Daily Herald. John, your line is active, and you can go ahead.
Hey, Jeremy. I'm not sure what happened. I got in here a little late, so I'm sure you've been asked some Crawford questions. Is it just how nice is it to see him back on the ice? What does this do to your chances? And does it go without saying that as long as he's ready, he's your goaltender?
Yeah, obviously his track record and his highest level it's a big lift for our team to have him back in the group. And we just got to take it day by day. We've been doing that in the past couple of weeks, not knowing what was going to happen as far as us getting him back. And now the challenge is every day to do what we can to prepare him to be ready. And we don't need to make that decision right now.
And if you have a question for Jeremy Colleton, please press the raise hand button, and we'll go to Carter Baum from Blackhawks.com. Carter, your line is active, and you can go ahead.
Jeremy, you get Corey back today. You have Murphy kind of working his way back, DeHaan back the other day. Is it nice to kind of have all these things starting to click? I mean, you probably would have rather had them in camp earlier, but especially right before you leave to kind of have the pieces falling into place.
Yeah, we want everyone on board. We need everyone to have success and give ourselves the best chance. So certainly encouraging to get those guys back on the ice. In a perfect world, we would have had them for the whole time and been able to prepare them. Just getting used to the workload and whatnot. But all teams are going to deal with some sort of adversity as far as guys missing, and we just got to get through it. And we're the players. I know they're doing everything they can to prepare, and we'll be ready on August 1st.
We'll go to Phil Thompson from the Chicago Tribune. Phil, your line's active. You can go ahead.
Thanks, Jeremy. I want to know how much you knew about Corey going through this COVID situation, and what kind of communication you had with him throughout this. And as a coach, what you had to do or couldn't do is kind of a lesson for other coaches that may come into this situation as we go through this return to play.
Well, I mean, ultimately, we listen to the medical team that we have and the guidelines that have been set for this. It's our uncharted territory for everybody. But if we follow the advice of the doctors and the people who've done the work to hopefully understand the virus better, we will get a good result. And we're happy to have Corey back. I think the medical team did a great job dealing with all the things that come up under these circumstances. And obviously we were talking to Corey, texting on the phone, Jimmy, obviously the medical team. So following his progress, and we get through it, a little adversity, but we found a way to get him back here.
We'll now go to John Dietz from the Daily Herald. John, your line is active. You can go ahead.
Jeremy, I'm going to hopefully ask this correctly, but what do you need to see out of Corey in this next week? I mean, obviously his conditioning can't be where you'd want it to be right now. There's only a week to go. There's timing issues. There's, all these things that go into being a goaltender that are, and he's trying to ramp everything up in 1 week. I mean, is that going to be a very difficult decision for you to make? And I guess I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll know it when we see it. Obviously, Jimmy works closely with the goaltenders, and we're preparing all of them for the challenge of playing, and we'll see how things look once we get closer. But when you have time, you should use it, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to allow things to play out, and we'll see.
Jeremy, thank you very much for your time today and your time throughout training camp. We'll talk to you again from Edmonton. Thank you very much, media.
Relax. Reset. Rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.